Welcome to the Planeswalker Project.
What is up, ladies, gentlemen, and my NB friends? I'm the Commander Theorist, and welcome to a brand new Commander video. So a few weeks back, I took a broad look at all of the cards from Dominaria that might actually have some use in the Commander format. All of them. And it was a journey. We almost didn't make it. And now, Dominaria has been out for a little bit and just the right amount of time to actually narrow it down to look at some of the cards that are the better pickings from the new set. So in this video, we're going to take a crack at the top 5 cards from Dominaria for Commander. Let's boogie. So for this list, rather than just giving a card a spot on this list just for a specific deck that gets a boon from the card's existence, I want to take a look instead at cards that will broadly impact the format overall and will be able to find homes in a number of builds. So starting off, I want to give a quick honorable mention to Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Hexproof is a ridiculously powerful ability, and only a few cards can give you as a player Hexproof. Shalai gives you, every creature, and every Planeswalker you control Hexproof, which is incredible protection from removal. She also has the ability to put +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. This is a little bit of a less impactful ability, but a lot of players will want to run her just for the protection that she'll offer you in your board. Her activate ability does force you into running at the very least both green and white, but given the ramp that green offers and the protection and removal that white offers, she'll definitely find a place in a great many decks. So, I didn't really want to put any cards I would consider running as exclusively commanders on this list just because I feel like it goes against that guide of broad impact. But Joda, Archmage Eternal does something to the commander format I don't think I've really witnessed before. So, starting off, despite this card's casting cost consisting of only red, white, and blue, because it has an ability that contains all 5 mana symbols in its text box, it is in fact a 5-color commander for the purposes of color identity. Now, that's by no means something new to Commander, as we've had General Tazri before, who she appeared to be a mono-white commander, but her activated ability's cost of Wooerg gave her an identity of 5 colors. But Joda does 2 things that will make him extremely popular in the format. 1, he lets you cast your largest spells for cheaper. 5 mana might seem rather high cost for some spells, but imagine for a moment running a deck with the largest of spells. Enter the Infinite, Temporal Trespass, Time Stretch, Progenitus, Blightsteel Colossus, Arbitrary Dragon, and even the Eldrazi Titans if you want to go the generic Eldrazi deck or whatever. Suddenly only costing 5 mana each makes these decks function way faster than expected. I want to cite a recent Game Nights episode which featured Joda in a Brawl deck being able to drop Nicobolas Guard Pharaoh for literally just 5 mana and the immense impact that it had coming out in the game so absurdly early. Joda can enable these bigger spells faster, giving a razor-sharp edge to the player who can build this deck skillfully enough to maximize that card's ability. The second thing that he does well is present a commander who is non-threatening. When you see certain commanders, you immediately can pinpoint their threat level and react accordingly. Joda, given his open-endedness, offers a rather low-threat vibe. He doesn't really do anything on his own, merely acting as a Fist of Suns on a 4/3 wizard. There are many ways to take Joda, and because of this, combined with his low immediate impact, will definitely make him a top pick for Commander. I wouldn't say he's a top tier deck by any means, but he definitely has a good chance of becoming the go-to 5-color legend of choice for Commander. Up next, Damping Sphere is the card I actually thought would only be a modern joy bit, but that was before I realized this thing actually has a second ability besides its land muting ability, and because of this, the Dampening Sphere definitely makes its way into our 4th place slot. This card is absolutely brutal in control strategies, increasing the cost to cast spells the more spells that player casts per turn. Stacks decks, notorious for dragging games through molasses, will love this card's ability to de-incentivize player to cast multiple spells. Suddenly that player who's running a combo deck or a Storm Spellslinger deck, they're going to run out of mana a lot quicker than they would probably like to, and that says nothing of what this card does to cards like Gaia's Cradle or the Tron lands. Helm of the Host is a card that I've seen a great deal of discussion over social media about. Clone effects are potent in Commander. If you clone a creature with a powerful ability, you get double the value in a format that not only lacks consistency, but begs for redundancy. And so when it comes to the best abilities in the game, very few cards have parallels worth running. So to those cards, I ask you to try on the Helm. You get a copy of the creature that's equipped at the beginning of combat, but if that creature happens to be legendary like, say, your commander, the clone that you create does not inherit that legendary quality, which gets around the legend rule, which would force you to sacrifice one of them. So this makes the Helm useful to copy cards such as your commander, something that was previously unheard of. So the commanders with abilities you'd like to abuse, like say Kiki-Jiki or Krenko, just to name two, you can double up on those abilities very quickly. I've heard a lot of talk about this card eventually finding itself on the ban list, but I feel like an equipment with no real protection of its own isn't really broken enough to be ban-worthy when it can be dealt with as simple as a well-timed Crozen Grip. Still, I do intend on running this in quite a few decks to find which are the best commanders to clone, so stay tuned for whenever that empirical data gets made. Coming in at number 2, the Mox Amber. It's another Mox. After years of no Moxen cards, we've got a new one. So the Mox Amber will come in as our second best commander card in Dominaria. This is a great mana rock for the decks that could use a little mana fixing. 0-drop artifacts that tap for mana have always been historically powerful in Commander, and this card is no exception. I do see how they balanced it in giving it the conditional requirement of a legendary creature or planeswalker just to let it tap for mana, but in the decks that have cheap to cast commanders such as the white-green Riss or Thrasos, this will come in handy. And last but not least, Thran Temporal Gateway is, in my opinion, the best card for Commander from the entire set. Yes, Mox Amber is powerful, but its hindering weakness lies in that requirement of a legendary card being in play. So it's all well and jolly that it's a 0-drop artifact that can tap for a mana, but unless you can cast your commander turn 1 then drop this, it does minimal work for the first few turns. The Gateway, on the other hand, doesn't come in as early, but it has a lot of impact. This card reminds me greatly of Quicksilver Amulet, albeit a bit more of a versatile one. So, historic is the new keyword from Dominaria, giving artifact cards, legendary cards, and saga enchantments all an umbrella term to refer to them en masse. The Gateway allows you to put one of them into play for just 4 mana. Let's look at the possibilities this card allows. Say you're playing Super Friends, which was the first build that came to mind when I saw this thing. You get to cheat walkers into play without fear of them being countered, and with some of them pricier walkers like Ugin or the Nicol Bolas walkers, or maybe one of the walkers that's a big threat that someone's holding up a counterspell for, they all can be plopped into the battlefield like a steamy pile of wind. Yes, paying 8 mana for some of the lower costing walkers, 4 to cast the Gateway, 4 to activate it, might seem a bit a hefty cost, but when you consider the weight of being protected from counterspells, this seriously increases the card's value. And that says nothing of its potential for artifact decks. Decks wanting to drop the cards like Darksteel Forge or the Blightsteel Colossus will want this to help protect their cards from the aforementioned counterspell. I don't really see any of the sagas making a whole lot of splash in the Commander format in the near future, but I also feel like for decks like Captain Sisay, who will be running a lot of legendary creatures, this can definitely help them drop them in for a lot cheaper as well. So those are going to be our top 5 picks for the best cards for Commander from Dominaria. What cards do you value highly for our format? Do you agree with some of the choices we've made here, or do you think something should or shouldn't be on this list? Let's discuss that in the comments. Remember to tap that like button if you enjoyed this video and to let others know it's worth a watch. Feel free to subscribe today and hit that little bell to get notified for each new video we upload. And if you'd like to help contribute to us upgrading equipment, we also have a Patreon active that you can check out. I'm hoping to get a camera set up so that we can record some live action gameplay videos in the near future. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day, and as always, I'll see you rock stars next upkeep.